And I think we all are aware that this last 10 months has been particularly difficult time for our seniors. And as we've endured, we've heard from many of you that you're suffering from depression, loneliness, anxiety, and some debilitating to the point of contemplating suicide. And so who knew last March that we would still be in this state today? And now with the holidays right around the corner, the outlook is even bleaker for many of us who will not be able to celebrate the holidays with our loved ones due to isolation restrictions or even distance because families are unable to travel. We want you to know that we hear you and you're not alone. We're doing the presentation today as a Zoom meeting, which enables us to see and talk to each other who are feeling the same way that you do. And we'll extend our time today so that we have ample opportunity for Q&A and conversation to express yourself or ask questions of Padma, so that we can get you the resources that you might be needing. And this morning, we are pleased to welcome back Padma Ganesh by popular demand. And Padma is a learning specialist with the Alberta Society of Calgary, the Alzheimer's Society of Calgary, with a background in family medicine and gerontology. She has been with the Society now for 9 years and has been presenting her valuable information to Kirby members ever since 2013. We've been grateful to work with Padma over this past year to provide information and resources for you to help us to maintain our mental well-being. Welcome, Padma, and thank you for joining us today. I think this presentation is quite timely. I'm not sure about everyone else, but I'm feeling a bit of the bah humbugs this year. And you must be seeing and hearing a lot from the people that you're working with about their state of mental well-being, and as we continue to cope with the pandemic and anticipate a much different holiday this year. Padma, tell us what we can do to help to cope with our feelings this holiday season.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for logging in. I'm just taking a moment to share my screen, okay? Okay, so I hope you all can see my slide here. My first slide, okay, great. So again, this is a very relevant and timely topic, as Colleen just mentioned, and we are all feeling depression and mental health concerns to different extent. And as Colleen mentioned, know that you are not alone. We are all experiencing this as well, all over the world, in fact. And therefore, today's presentation, I hope that I'll be able to share some strategies as well as some resources that you can actually reach out to if you are experiencing any excessive mental health concerns. So with that introduction, I'm going to just move my slides forward. Yes, give me a moment. Yeah. Okay. So the plan for today is first understand what is depression. We all use that word all the time. Learn to recognize the signs and symptoms of depression, so that we can be aware if someone in our presence, in our family is experiencing it, or you yourself are experiencing it, you can recognize it for yourself. Then we'll just briefly look at the depression and dementia connection. It's very complex and quite interesting. So it's a good idea to be aware of that. We'll briefly talk about how depression is diagnosed, but not going into too much of medical details. And then move on to management of depression. So how is it medically managed? Non-medical means some strategies of coping positively, some positive coping strategies for depression. We'll talk about the times, the holidays, especially this year, it's going to be very different, as one of you was mentioning. So we'll talk about what could be, what we'll be experiencing. We'll talk about strategies to overcome stress, anxiety, and depression during holidays. Share some resources with you so that, if you feel that you are experiencing excessive anxiety, stress, or depression, then there is some places, some organizations that you can contact, some resources that you can utilize. And finally, conclude with my concluding messages, and then open it up for questions. So that is my plan. So first, we'll talk about what is depression. It's very common. It's a very common mood disorder. It's believed that 16% of people can develop depression at some time during their lifetime. This is what is mentioned in textbooks, but we know that it is much higher than that. And this year, especially with COVID, depression and mental health concerns, depression especially has emerged as one of the top mental health concerns all over the world and across all age groups of population. Average onset is 32 years of age. Again, that's a textbook description. But at the same time, we see that 5%, it said that 5% of older adults living in the community and up to 15% of older adults in long-term care homes have been diagnosed or they are receiving the treatment for depression. But again, these numbers are actually very low. These actual numbers are likely to be much higher because there is some stigma associated with all mental health concerns, including depression. And some people believe that to approach a physician with a complaint that they are experiencing these symptoms of depression is a sign of weakness. Some people feel that way. So they kind of hesitate to talk about it or to seek medical attention. So we believe that the actual numbers of older adults who are living with depressive symptoms is much higher. And as I said, it's not this year, especially with COVID, reports from all over the world, from UK, from the rest of the world as well, show that depressive symptoms are seen in right from kindergarten, from school, elementary school children, all the way up to older adults, so nobody is spared. Everybody uniformly is experiencing mental health concerns, including depression to different extents. As I said in the beginning, the usual age of onset is young, at the age of 32 years. And a person who is diagnosed at that time, they can have recurrences. Depression is known to recur. And these recurrences are usually triggered by stress or seasonal change. It could be any life-changing event, like losing a spouse or a partner, being diagnosed with a terminal illness, or whether you might be diagnosed with some chronic health conditions that prevents you from continuing to live in your own home. So you might have to leave your family home and move to a care home. And all these are life-changing events, and these can trigger depression. At the same time, seasonal change too, with the winter setting in and the darkness, more of dark hours and less of sunlight. This can also contribute to depression. We are somehow lucky that we are one of the few parts of the world where even when it is really cold outside, we still get we are blessed with sunlight. It is worse for people who are living in the UK and Vancouver. They might have less snow than us, but they have more of darkness, the dark days to deal with, and that can really have an impact on our mental well-being. It's believed that recurrences can happen, like 60% of people experience a second attack of depression after the first episode, and 90% can develop recurrences after the third. So the more times you are getting it, the more risk of developing those depressive symptoms at different stages of life. Women are found to have about double the risk of developing depression compared to men. 1.7 times women are more likely to develop depression than men. So that's close to two times. And it's believed that one reason is the hormonal changes that happen during a woman's lifetime. Premenstrual, there is changes in hormonal levels. So premenstrual depression, postpartum, after childbirth, some people experience depression, postmenopausal depression, after menopause. So there are different stages during a woman's life when the hormone levels in their body can change, and this can affect their mood and their mental state, and also affect the circuits in the brain. So there are some feel-good hormones that are produced in our brain, but for that some circuits have to be activated. So if these hormone changes are affecting the brain, then it can upset these, it can make these circuits inactive. So we are not, able to produce those feel-good hormones in our body, and that can affect our mental well-being as well. 37% of heritability is there. So it tends to run, depression tends to run in families to some extent. And for the first degree relatives, they are found to have 3 times higher risk of developing depression. There are several causes for depression. I'm not going into the details of that. Multiple events are supposed to be responsible, which finally, once one event leads to another and finally leads to the symptoms of depression that we see. But some of the major things are decrease in serotonin. So this is the feel-good kind of a substance that is produced in the brain, and decrease in level of serotonin within nerve connections is found to be one of the basic causes. Decrease in certain proteins in the brain called neurotrophins, that is responsible for the health and well-being of brain cells. That happens, and that can be responsible. That's also responsible for causing the symptoms of depression. Inflammation in the brain, and that happens in some persons, and that is supposed to contribute to depression in some people. Symptoms of depression. So I have a written version as well, but I thought sometimes pictures speak more than words. You are more likely to remember a picture. And here it says that experiencing 5 or more of the following symptoms for more than 2 weeks may indicate a depressive disorder. In fact, I would say even 3. Experiencing 3 or more of any of these symptoms for more than 2 weeks, that is highly suggestive of a depressive disorder. So feeling sad, guilty, hopeless, reduced sense of self-worth. What's the point in, I'm useless. My life is useless. It has no point. Why? For whom should I keep on living? Loss of interest in activities that you previously enjoyed. That is something that's very commonly seen. Insomnia or excessive sleeping. Insomnia means difficulty, loss of sleep. So difficulty falling asleep or difficulty staying asleep, or excessive sleeping. You might see that the person is staying in bed all the time, and you might think that they're sleeping a lot. But most often it is that they are woken up in the middle of the night several times, multiple times due to negative thoughts. And so they are staying in bed, and they don't get that refreshing, restorative sleep they don't get. And because of that, they can also feel very fatigued and tired. That's another thing, unexplained tiredness for no reason. And digestive problems that can happen, constipation, diarrhea, in different, different people are affected in different ways. Persistent aches and pains that never seem to go away. Constant headaches, backaches, any chronic pain for a long time has got some depression as a cause. That is, leading to the persistence of those symptoms. Changes in appetite or weight. So some people might stop eating altogether. Some people might want to indulge in all the comfort food, chocolates, ice cream. So weight loss, weight gain, trouble focusing and making decisions. So inability to concentrate on tasks and get them done, difficulty thinking through situations and making appropriate decisions. Restlessness, so moving from one thing to the other, not getting that calm state of mind. Pessimism, so and very negative thoughts, lots of negative thoughts, and wanting to end life. There is no point in living, or losing that the meaning of life. Those kind of negative thoughts. Irritability, irritable to others, suicidal thoughts or attempts. So these are some of the common symptoms of depression. And those of you who like to read rather than see pictures, I've listed out the whole thing in another slide too. And suicidal thoughts are found in 30 to 40% of people with depression. But the thing with older adults is that they are, because of the state of their health, some people could be frail and in poor health. So suicide, there's more positive, or what we call successful attempts. There'll be a successful, the attempt at suicide can be more successful at that age, and it could be difficult to, even if they are saved, it could leave them with permanent disability. Depression dementia connection. This is something very very complex and very interesting to know. 21% of people whose symptoms of depression increased over time, they were eventually diagnosed with dementia. So depression sometimes can be seen, it's considered as an early symptom of dementia, especially in older adults. A person who has never been depressed but developing depression for the first time, and not for a short period of time, it's significant and severe depression, that could be an early sign. 40% of people with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia, and 40% of people with Alzheimer's disease are found to have depression as well. And treating that depression component will make their symptoms much better. May help. You will see that their cognitive abilities are much better when the depression part is taken care of. And so this is what we see: persons with depression, especially when it is uncontrolled, untreated. So this is where the importance lies of recognizing symptoms of depression. If you are experiencing symptoms of depression, it's very important to be able to recognize that and also seek medical attention, because undiagnosed and untreated depression can increase the risk of dementia significantly. Depression, therefore, as I said, especially happening for the first time in late life, can be a treatable cause. Depression is a treatable cause of dementia. Some people, when even the younger, when they are young, they develop some symptoms of depression. And then that can actually, if not treated, that can lead to dementia, as I mentioned. So that's why it's a treatable condition too. Depression is completely controllable and treatable. Depression in late life, recognized as an early sign, I just mentioned that. And it's believed that of all the early warning signs of dementia in older adults, over anxiety and depression. Some people are generally, that's a personality. Some people are generally over anxious, but it's not that. You see a change from late life that's happening, a change. The person who is normally not very anxious, very confident, you will say that over anxiety over little things. And depression is believed to be one of the early signs, so constitutes one of the symptoms of mild behavioral impairment, which could lead to dementia. And in dementia, we see that persons who are in early to mid stage of Alzheimer's disease, around 30 to 40%, 30 to 50% of them can have depression. Those who have vascular dementia, that is related to stroke, about 20 to 70% of them have associated depression associated with the dementia. People with Parkinson's disease dementia, 40 to 50% of them are found to have significant levels of depression. And depression might appear a bit differently in persons living with dementia. So somebody diagnosed with dementia and living with dementia, the depression symptoms can look a bit different. It can come and go. There'll be varying levels of depression. The person might lose their ability to do things that they normally did. So a decrease in their abilities to carry out tasks of daily life, whatever little they were able to do, when that they become unable to do when they have depression. More of dependence on the caregiver, more of behavioral symptoms are also seen when persons with dementia develop depression. So some older adults, they get that when they are diagnosed with depression, that's a depression with reversible dementia. As I mentioned earlier, that depression, if not treated, could lead to dementia. And that is, it will be associated with symptoms of depression. So that depression will be associated with symptoms of dementia, memory loss, forgetting recent events, past events, but the level keeps changing, so variable performance. So some days they are okay, some days they are not. And that is depression with reversible dementia. A person who is in pure depression, they are depressed for the whole time, that symptoms of depression persist like that. When it is associated with a reversible dementia, it can keep changing from day to day, and risk of progression to dementia, as I mentioned earlier, if it's not treated and controlled. Okay, that's also a very important point to remember. Several medical conditions can be associated with depression: a stroke, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, obstructive sleep apnea. This is a condition where the person suddenly stops breathing while they are sleeping, and the body wakes them, the brain wakes them up, So the person would be making a noise and then waking up and then going back to sleep again. But that is also, that condition is associated with depression too. Heart disease, persons with heart disease and diabetes can have associated depression. Underactive thyroid, a thyroid gland that is not making the enough amount of thyroid hormone, that can be associated with depression. Inflammatory bowel disease that is associated with depression. Traumatic brain injury, so serious brain injury, seizures, cancers, of course, as we all know, associated with significant levels of depression. Some medications can also cause symptoms of depression. So all the medications listed here have been implicated. They have all been associated with depression to some extent, but it doesn't mean that everyone who is taking these medications will be affected. Okay, it affects some people because each one of us, how a medication affects each one of us is very individual, very unique. So some medications used to treat neurologic disorders like multiple sclerosis, steroids. Steroids commonly prescribed for multiple sclerosis that can cause depression. Opioids taken for severe pain. Cholinesterase inhibitors, these are medications taken to treat Alzheimer's disease. But in some people, that medication itself, one of those medications can cause depression, but then changing the medication, when it is changed to a different brand, then those symptoms will go away. Epilepsy medications, blood pressure medications, again, not all blood pressure medications. Some of us could be taking beyond blood pressure medication, so I want this to be very clear. Some medications like beta blockers, methyl-dopa, reserpine, some of these medications in some people can be associated with symptoms of depression. Antivirals, so medication taken to treat severe viral infections. So interferons and HIV medications, for instance, can cause symptoms of depression. Asthma medication, again, not all. This particular medication called montelukast that has been associated with depressive symptoms in some people, again, not all. So that's what I've concluded here. Not everyone on these medications would develop symptoms, but there is a chance. So when you are experiencing some symptoms of depression, you might be experiencing some memory loss, some common symptoms that are common with dementia as well. So usually when they go to your physician, it's very challenging to diagnose whether it's depression alone or dementia. That can be very challenging. Why? Because the symptoms overlap. Okay, some symptoms overlap. For example, loss of interest in previously enjoyed activities. It's common in depression as well as dementia. Tendency to isolate, keep to oneself, withdraw. That is also common for both depression and dementia. Memory problems can be there for depression and dementia, but for depression, the memory abilities keep changing from one day to the next. There's variability there. Poor concentration seen in both. Sleep pattern changes also seen in both. And another confounding factor is that depression can coexist with dementia. So some people who have dementia also have depression too. So this can make it very challenging for the physician to diagnose it. So diagnosis is done very carefully. It's made based on all the following steps: detailed medical history, including past diseases, medications they are taking now, their personal history, whether they drink or smoke or getting into, have they tried any drugs, things like that, family history of dementia or depression, all that is very significant. Interview with the family members to find out how and when these symptoms started and what are they seeing, what symptoms have they seen. Blood test to exclude all the treatable causes of memory loss. Detailed mental status exam that is also carried out, especially to distinguish between depression and dementia. The person's appearance, somebody who is very depressed may not pay any attention to their personal hygiene and grooming, all those kind of things. It wouldn't matter for them anymore. But that's the same when the person has dementia too. But initially, that depression is given that weightage. The priority is given for depression. If the person does not have any family history of dementia. So appearance, then things like their speech, their thoughts, what kind of thoughts, are they having negative thoughts all the time, or are they seeing things that are not their hallucinations, or having false beliefs, all those. So detailed mental status exam, cognitive assessment, so ability to test their mental, test to assess the mental abilities. That is the cognitive assessment. And when there is confusion, and some imaging could be ordered, like CT or MRI scan, or even PET scan could be ordered when there is a diagnosis. And when some physicians, for all cases, they would put the person on a course of antidepressants for a couple of months, 2 or 3 months even, to see how the person is responding to the depression medication. So if the symptoms are improving, that is a chance, that is more in favor of the person having depression rather than dementia. So it's quite a challenging diagnosis to make. Recommendations for caregivers, and this is something that I want to really highlight here. Caregivers are well known to have symptoms of depression, and because the caregiver's responsibility is taking care of the person, they tend to ignore the symptoms that they are experiencing, within themselves. And that is where it becomes so very important for caregivers to know that caregivers can develop symptoms of depression. And of all caregivers, research has shown that family caregivers of persons living with dementia, they experience significant levels of depression and stress, because supporting someone with dementia is extremely challenging, physically and mentally exhausting. So they have a higher risk of developing significant levels of depression and stress. And the fact is that if the caregiver has depression, it can affect the quality of care that they provide to the person, whoever they are supporting. And also it's found to affect, in the case of persons living with dementia, it's found to affect how long that person will live as well. Okay, so it can even shorten the lifespan of the person they are caring or supporting. So therefore, it is because of all these reasons, it's so very important that caregivers experiencing depressive symptoms, whoever, you might be, whatever the person who is receiving care, whatever condition they are dealing with, it's important for caregivers, if you're a caregiver, to know that the symptoms, if you are experiencing symptoms of depression, that should not be ignored, and you need to seek medical attention promptly. Management of depression. So there are several things that are available. Psychotherapy and counseling works very well. For some people, drugs, there are medications are also available. Some people respond to about two-third of persons with dementia would respond to psychotherapy and counseling, or drugs. 2/3 of people could respond to either of these. Some people would respond only to one of these. And it's again a matter of trial and error to see which person responds to which kind of therapy. And there are other non-medical strategies also available. So depression-focused psychotherapy is very effective. It's very effective. Some of the techniques that have been existing for some time are cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps you identify your wrong thinking, maybe incorrect thinking. And because of that incorrect thinking, a person might be resorting to unhealthy behaviors, strategies that are not good for them, like getting into drugs and alcohol and things like that as a coping strategy. So it helps you to identify incorrect thinking and develop positive health promoting behaviors. Problem solving therapy helps you to identify what is the actual problem that I'm dealing with, and helps you develop those strategies to or solutions to those problems. Interpersonal therapies are very helpful in helping improve relationship in the family. And there are newer techniques like mindfulness-based cognitive behavioral therapy, where it makes you aware, helps you be aware of your own mental state at different times of the day, and helps you recognize negative thinking and challenge those negative thoughts and develop positive health promoting behaviors. Acceptance and commitment therapy. Okay, this has happened. Okay, you accept that. And what can I do now to make my life better? So those are some new techniques that have come up as well. There are medications available, several classes of medications. The safest and most effective medications with mildest side effects are the medications that belong to this group, SSRI. There are several medications available here. These are citalopram, escitalopram. These are all safe medications in small doses, very few side effects. And as we go down the list, the side effects would increase. Okay, so SNRI group, if you don't respond to any medication in this first group, you might be prescribed a medication in the second group, which has got fewer, little more side effects, like sedation could be a feature. If you don't respond to that also, then you could be prescribed atypical antidepressants, which have little more of side effects, weight gain, then difficulty walking, blood pressure changes, things like that. And it's usually prescribed for a very short period of time. And people who don't respond to even this group of drugs, there are other groups as well. So again, the side effects increase as you go down the group. But as I said, 2/3 of people would respond to either the psychotherapy or medications. And sometimes combination is tried. That also works. More people would respond to combination of the counseling and the medication. For people who do not respond to any of these, the medication or the psychotherapy, or who develop side effects to medications, there are somatic therapies, non-medical strategies that are available. Some therapies, again, available. Bright light therapy. There's a lot of research showing that bright light therapy is very useful. Especially, this involves sitting in front of a source of bright light, something like, let's say 10,000 lux, that is the intensity, bright light, sitting in front of that source of bright light for 2 to 3 hours every day. And that can change the circuits in the brain and help release more of that feel-good hormones in the body and decrease those depressive symptoms. Electroconvulsive therapy, ECT, otherwise called, in regular terms, usual language, we would say shock therapy. It has received a lot of negative rap through movies, but actually this is found to be a very safe and effective technique, especially for older adults with severe depression, those who have suicidal tendencies, or those who have psychotic symptoms, those who starve themselves, to die so that they can die. For those kind of people, this electroconvulsive therapy is found to be very safe and effective. It involves application of a small current to the brain when the person is completely anesthetized. And the purpose is to induce a generalized kind of a seizure, but that resets the circuits in the brain, and person would start eating, would start getting engaged in activities. It's very safe and effective for the groups I mentioned. Transcranial magnetic or direct current stimulation. So that's, I just pull out my pointer so that I can point. So this is the bright light that I was talking about. And this is the transcranial magnetic or direct current stimulation. So you can see that the person is wearing some electrodes on their head, and electromagnetic coils are applied on the head. And that can stimulate, again, the parts of the brain, regions of the brain that control the mood. So stimulating parts of the brain that help you feel good, help you overcome symptoms of depression. And it's non-invasive because nothing is going in, it's just outside the head. Okay. Similarly, an electric current can also be passed, a small electric current through electrodes kept on the scalp, on the head, small electric current to reset the circuits in the brain and help release more of those serotonin, that substance in the brain, and overcome the symptoms of depression. Deep brain stimulation, this is a little bit invasive kind of therapy. Some persons with Parkinson's, severe Parkinson's and depressive symptoms, it has been found to benefit them. So an electrode is placed inside the brain, close to the region that controls moods. So that's usually the prefrontal, this front region. So you can see that it's placed here. And then there is a pacemaker-like device that is implanted in the chest, and it sends regular signals to stimulate that part of the brain, and that's found to help people, some people with Parkinson's and severe depression. Then this is a very new thing, transcranial photo biomodulation. And this involves, again, through the nose, and again, through the scalp. Some electrodes could be kept on the scalp. Through the nose, bright light is sent actually to the brain. Okay, and that is non-invasive, but it's found to be very helpful in some small studies. Some strategies for coping with depression. So first of all, when you are depressed, you do not want to get up from the bed even. You don't feel like getting up and doing things. So having a routine forces you to get up and move from one thing to the other. And as the day progresses, you will see that you'll be amazed at how many things you have accomplished. And that helps, that success, that success that you experience, that can release those feel-good hormones in the brain, and it can help you cope with those depression. Those symptoms would decrease. Following a healthy diet, that's very helpful. And that's for mental health as well, brain health and mental health. So, whole grains, lots of vegetables, fruits, oily fish, olive oil. These are the nuts, and these are what constitute Mediterranean diet. So healthy diet is very important, helps with mental health significantly. Sleep hygiene. So I talked about that in the previous presentation on mental health, so I did not put a slide here separately. But sleep hygiene involves doing several things, such as sticking to regular bedtime and wake time. So going to bed at night the same time every night, waking up at the same time, doing exercise every day. Then keeping the bedroom dark and cool, using the bedroom only for sleep and intimacy, avoiding daytime naps. That's quite important. Cutting back on caffeine and all caffeinated drinks from afternoon onwards. Having a light dinner, not a heavy meal, but light dinner. Getting outside and getting some sunlight during the day. Even if it's too cold and you cannot go out, just open the blinds and the windows and the curtains and allow the sunlight to come into your room. So you are facing that sunlight and sitting, that really helps. So getting some sunlight during the day, and reduce screen time at night. That is watching television or using cell phones or computers at night. Those radiations from those gadgets can affect our sleep. So these are some sleep hygiene techniques, and also decreasing the amount of water you drink at night. Usually you'll have to get up in the middle of the night and go to the washroom. So if you can decrease the amount of water you drink after supper, then you may not have to get up and you could sleep through the night. Staying connected, it's so very important. And especially these times, it's very important to stay connected. And we might have to use a different way of staying connected. We may not be able to visit people, but texting through the cell phone, calling, video chat, FaceTime chat, all that are different ways of actually seeing your friends and family and talking to them. It's very important to stay connected, okay? And you will see that your mood improves. You may not feel like doing it, but if you take the effort to do all the things, then actually it really helps. Being creative, and that's one way in which all that, getting into, say, not connecting with people or just isolating or dwelling, brooding over negative thoughts, keeping those negative thoughts, all those are negative ways of coping. Whereas getting creative, so channeling that energy to positive things, like trying out new recipes, maybe trying out an artistic activity, anything that you have wanted to try, you have never tried. So using the, channeling that energy into these creative things, it really releases those feel-good hormones in the brain. Learning something new, joining a support group, that helps. Actually talking to other people and who are in the same situation, and sharing what you are feeling with them, that helps you realize that you are not alone. And we still, these are it's just that being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Whatever we are experiencing at this point of time, it's not permanent. Everything will change, and holding on to those positive thoughts, that's a good strategy. More strategies are here. Challenge negative thoughts. So this is being mindful. Whenever you have negative thoughts, analyze the thought. Is it a positive thought? Is this thought going to help me? Or if it's negative, it's not going to help me, it's going to pull me down. Then challenge those negative thoughts. Staying active, whatever way you like. I just had the picture of this lady jumping with the ball, but it could be anything, any physical activity, because that releases endorphins, feel-good hormones in the brain that helps compensate for the depression. Stay away from alcohol and drugs. That is all negative coping strategies. Do things that you enjoy. It could be anything. It could be listening to music. It could be soaking in the tub and listening to your favorite music, reading a favorite book, watching a Christmas movie. Those are all feel good. Any Christmas movie for that matter, they are all good movies. At the end of that, it gives you all positive feelings of hope. It gives those feelings of hope. Talking to someone is very helpful. Practice meditation, relaxing, whatever form works for you, and getting outside. So these are some of the things that are suggested. And the most important thing is staying connected. Staying connected. Do not isolate. If you are feeling depressed, do not isolate yourself. Pick up the phone and talk to someone and let them know what you are feeling. So they will take the responsibility to keep in touch with you. Okay. If you don't feel like calling them, because they know how important that is and how it is impacting you. Getting through the holidays. This holidays, as someone was mentioning earlier, it's very strange. Yeah, it's very strange. My mom is 94 years old, and she was telling that, oh my God, I've never experienced anything even close to what we are going through at this time. So this is same. People who have lived long, they will say that. For us, we think that for us it's new, but even for older adults, it is very strange. With all the restrictions that have been imposed now, very recently on Tuesday. So it's more, I think all of us would be celebrating holidays by ourselves, mostly not being able to travel anywhere, to see family members or enjoy with friends, have get-togethers with friends. All that is not going to happen this year. But again, thinking of what can we do still, what is still possible, because if we are healthy and physically and mentally healthy, we still can do something to enjoy the holiday cheer. Like how Pauline is wearing her Christmas outfit today, and there was another lady who had the Christmas hat. These are things that we can do, little things that we can do to feel that, to experience that holiday cheer, and that's very important. So whatever we can do, even though it's different this time, whatever we can do. So holidays, we can, even without the COVID, for some people, it always caused anxiety, stress and anxiety. Many people experience even before the COVID. Now with COVID also in the picture, depression can be an unwelcome guest again. All the competing demands of shopping, baking, cleaning, decorating. And when you are depressed, everything feels like a task. Even little things, you find it so hard to do it. And every little thing can become like a Herculean task. Anxiety about COVID-19 as cases keep increasing. And we have to isolate, the need to restrict all the get-togethers and all that, again, adds to the sadness. Sadness about holidays looking very different this time. Yeah, people cannot travel, families cannot get together, friends cannot get together, but that is the reality at this time. And the thing again is to know that this is not going to be permanent. This will also pass. That is the thing. That's the thing. Something that you keep saying to yourself, this is temporary, this is going to pass. Okay, we have been through from March up until now. That's a little bit long, quite long compared to what we expect, but still, this cannot stay, all for the coming years, this cannot stay like that. Every night has its day. Prior planning and modifying expectations. So that's what you can do to reduce stress and anxiety. Plan a little bit ahead. modify expectations. What is possible at this time? And then that will help you enjoy the holiday season and experience some of that cheer. So first step to reduce holiday stress and depression is acknowledge your feelings. What are you feeling at this point of time? It's possible that you might have lost a family member. Someone, some of you might have lost a family member, or you might not be able to meet up with your family. Your adult children may not be able to visit with you, your grandchildren. Maybe that's how you spend your Christmas time, but they're not going to do that. And you are sad about that. You are feeling depressed. For those who have lost someone, you are grieving. Okay, acknowledge those feelings. That's the first step. Whatever you are feeling, it's not wrong. You have the right to grieve, to feel sad. You have the right. So acknowledge those feelings. Reach out. If you feel that, if you are isolated and alone, reach out to the community. Religious or social events. For example, Kirby has a Christmas celebration. Most of the organizations in the community, there are lots of community organizations, and they all have online virtual events. They have online support groups. So it's very important to reach out to them, and then that you can be a part of that celebration. Share your feelings. It's very important, as I mentioned earlier. Do not keep it to yourself. This is even if it's an effort to pick up the phone and call someone, please do that. If you're feeling isolated, stressed, and suicidal, it's very important to share your feelings. And as I said, it will become their responsibility to stay connected with you, to make sure that you are all right. You only have to take that initial step. Staying connected with family and friends, it's still possible, but as I said, using technology. At least we have the technology, right? We can see each other, as we talk, as we attend this session. If we want to have a camera on, we can see each other still. We can talk to each other still. So that's a blessing. Seek opportunities to help and reach out to others. It is so very amazing. If you can help someone, even when you are feeling low, you help someone, bring a smile on their face. It works much more than any antidepressant medication. Seeing the smile on their face, what difference you have made it in another person's life. That is the best antidepressant ever, because then you will know that there are people who are in worse situation than you, and little things you can help will make a big difference. Reduce stress and depression. Again, more strategies. So be realistic of what is possible at this time. Stick to the basics. You still want to have experienced that Christmas, the holiday cheer. So what are the little things that you can do? Put up your Christmas tree, some decorations, whatever you can do, little bit of baking. So stick to the basics. What is that? What's the core? What's the most important message of this holiday season, of this festival? Stick to the basics of that. Celebrate virtually with your family. You cannot see them, or they cannot be with you, you cannot be with them, but still we can celebrate virtually. I just want to give you an example. My nephew got married on November 26th, and I have got 5 siblings. We were all planning we had all taken days, vacation. We had booked our vacations, and we had all of us had planned to go to India to celebrate that wedding, but none of us could go. And even my siblings in India could not go, because this wedding was in a town that was hit by cyclone at that time. So no one could go. There was just the bridegroom and the bridegroom's parents, only from our side. Girls' family was all in that same town, so they had lots of their people. A few, whatever is allowed, like 50 people. But we still celebrated. All of us, we all logged in and watched the live stream through a Zoom connection. So just like how I'm with you now, you are with me now, the same way through a Zoom connection, we watched the wedding, and we really enjoyed. It was different times for different people. For some people, for UK people, it was like 3 o'clock. For US, it was like 11 o'clock at night, but still we all enjoyed it. It's a new way of enjoying. Set aside differences. When you are virtually, we are talking to someone or connecting with family and friends, accept them as they are. They may not have your same kind of personality or your attitude or your thoughts, but this is a time to forget all the differences. Stick to your budget. If you're planning to celebrate, stick to your budget ahead of time. Think of how you are going to celebrate, how much you can afford. Donating to a charity, and even gifts can be like homemade gifts, or donating to a charity in somebody's name. All these are different ways of doing it. Planning ahead of time, as I mentioned, dedicating separate days for baking, cleaning, shopping, those kind of things. That helps. Finding out what, exploring online shopping, or then grocery delivery. Things could be delivered to your home. You could buy gifts online. So those are all things that can be planned and done. Learning to say no is very important. If you really want to say no, somebody is asking you to do something, you want to say no, and you end up saying yes, that leaves you feeling very resentful and overwhelmed. So it's worse than saying no directly. So learning to say no is important, and people will understand. From your situation, maybe you have lost someone in your life recently, and you don't want to be part of all that. Yeah, that is fine. Whatever you can do, that's all. Whatever you can do and you feel like doing, that's all you need to do. Sticking to a healthy lifestyle is important, even during this holiday time. So basics: healthy meals, exercise, sleep, keeping to sleep times and getting a good night's sleep. All that, whatever constitutes healthy lifestyle, it's very important. Limiting drinks and desserts and things like that. Making sure that you are still doing everything in a healthy way. That's important. Take a breather. That's very important. If you are celebrating, if there is people there in your household we are celebrating with, take a breather. Find at least 15 minutes every day to do something that you enjoy. That is your own personal private time. Don't let anyone take away that time from you. Maybe watching a movie, or a show, favorite show, listening to music, just soaking in the tub and listening to your music, whatever it is, or going out and seeing the stars or the Christmas decorations, the Christmas lights, whatever is that. Some time for yourself. Stay positive. Yeah, this is very, very important, because there are so many negative things going on around. Let's not brood and dwell over that. Instead, fight those negative thoughts repeat to yourself that this is temporary, this is going to pass, and better times will come. And being hopeful, that is very important. Recognize your stress triggers. You hear more from people about COVID and this and that. It's very important to stay away from all that negative talk. Limit your media time, so that you are not, you just have to know what are the current regulations. But beyond that, all that excessive things in the media, you don't spend time on that. Instead, there's a positive news. Health Canada has approved the COVID-19 vaccine. See, there's a positive news. And it's believed that by the end of the year, we'll have, a sizable number of doses for the initial phase of immunization or vaccination. And, depending on the age group, that's how they are giving the vaccine in UK. So it's 80 plus age group, they get the vaccine first, then 70 plus age group, then 60 plus, like that it goes. So our time will come and we will also get it. So there's some positive things, something to keep you optimistic. And recognize your stress triggers. So whatever is causing stress, stay away from that, move away from that. And if in spite of all these strategies that you have tried, you still feel very depressed and you have those negative thoughts, wanting to end life, things like that, please do seek professional help. Despite your best efforts, if it's not helping you, then it's very important to seek that medical attention. That is so very important. So these are some resources that I'm sharing here. So distress center is your first call. That should be the first stop, especially if you are having intentions of or having thoughts of ending your life, those kind of things. It is first of all important to talk to someone that you really trust. Talk to them, and this is what I'm feeling, and just that thought might take away that feeling. If not, distress center, they have 24-hour crisis line, and calls are kept confidential. And the only exception is if somebody is going to attempt imminent suicide is there. That's the only time when they contact other people. Otherwise, it's confidential. Calling 811 for local resources. 24-hour online crisis support is there. Daily chat is there. For different times, all days of the week. They are available all days of the week. 24-hour email counseling services are there. And they are free counseling services. There are lots of resources here for someone who has lost a family member to suicide. Toolkits are there. Some strategies to a toolkit to heal your spirit. If you are, if you are currently bereaved, then there are some strategies there are tools available for that as well. If you are contemplating suicide, how to communicate about that, how to talk to someone, a professional about that. Addiction and mental health programs and services. Warning signs of suicide in a family member. If you hear someone talking about it, then those are there. Help in tough times. So there's lots and lots of resources available out there. But you have to take the first step in contacting them. But then when they know that you are at risk, they would keep that, it would be their responsibility to keep in touch with you and make sure that you are safe. So lots of mental health newsletters, texting for hope. You can get positive messages every single day from Alberta Health Services. Stress management. So strategies to manage stress during this time. It's a workshop that AHS is holding. So this is a free workshop that you can sign up for. There are free mental health services available without any wait times, no charge services from counselors. That is Eastside Community Mental Health. Sorry, I'm just trying to move my slide here. And this is just what we talked about in the last slide, kind of I included. So all the symptoms of depression, all the things that you can do. And then to conclude, depression is a top mental health concern this year. From all parts of the world, we are hearing that. Depression significantly affects our quality of life, can take away our energy. Even though it's a mental symptom, it can suck out all the energy that we have to continue with our life. But the thing to know is depression can be controlled by medications, psychotherapy, and counseling. There are non-medical means also available. Isolated older adults, those living alone, or recently bereaved, they experience significant depression. So if you belong to this group that I mentioned, if you are isolated, if you are living alone, if you are recently bereaved, please know that you would be experiencing significant depression, and it's very important to reach out, okay? And stay connected and reach out. Prior planning helps reduce anxiety and depression during the holidays. As we went through the different slides, there are different strategies that you can follow. Share your feelings with someone you trust. Keep in touch and talk to someone. It always really helps. And said there are several resources available to manage depression. I just shared lots of those resources. And seek medical attention. If these, if you are trying your level best, but these symptoms are just not going away, they are persistent, that means you need medical attention. So you need to talk to your physician and get the help that you need. And so I think that is this is just our resources that we provided this time. And thank you to our funders and educational sponsors. A big thank you to them. And that's the end of my presentation here. I'm just going to share copy the evaluation link and post it in the chat box so that you can do the evaluation after this talk. You can do it, so you don't have to wait till you get the email. You can do it even before that. So I'm just going to copy it. Oh, screen sharing has stopped. Okay, just
Padma, what I will do is following the presentation, we'll send that link out to everybody again. Okay. And make sure that they have the link for the survey as well as to be able to access the information for you.
Okay. If you like. Okay. So that's all from me now. This is question time. Thank you all for your attention.
That was a lot of great information. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You're welcome to unmute yourselves if you'd like to chat. Oh gosh, I've got someone in the waiting room here just joining us. And so you're welcome to unmute yourself to ask questions or to have a chat. I might suggest that if you use a chat button, then to type in your question, then we'll make sure that we answer you, because I don't have everyone up on screen to see your hands or indicating that you'd like to ask a question. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask, then perhaps type it into the chat, and I'll make sure that Padma gets the question. In the meantime, for those of you that might be willing as well, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and perhaps, if anyone is willing to share their feelings about the upcoming holidays and what you might be doing, how it's changed for you this year, and what you might be doing to cope with it yourselves. Anybody interested in sharing how they plan to manage getting through the holidays this year? And again, you're welcome to unmute yourselves.
Hello, my name is Pauline. So I just put the question into the chat.
Okay, I see that here now.
So do you want me to repeat the question?
Sure, you go ahead.
Is there an ongoing program of support discussion regarding support for stress, depression, emotional support? I've looked at CMHA and they're 1 to 4 sessions. I've looked at CARIA and those are 1 to 4 sessions. And they do have one ongoing group that meets once a month, but it's not seniors. And I don't feel comfortable in that group. So it's, that I was just wondering about that ongoing programs, weekly preferably.
Okay, great question. So you are right that CMHA, CARIA, they have for limited period of time sessions. But I think it is possible if you can join a support group for older adults. That is one good strategy of getting an opportunity to share your concerns with people. Talking to your physician, please do reach out to your physician, because they can connect you with counseling services that can be accessed anytime.
So I cannot find an ongoing group. That's my situation. I cannot find one.
Yeah, I hear you. So there are some facilities, some opportunities there. A distress center is one place where anytime it's ongoing. Anytime you can call them.
It's a different person each time. So you have to repeat the whole story. That's not what I'm looking for.
That is right.
It's not a crisis situation.
Yeah.
It's ongoing support.
Okay. Yeah. Then the best bet is to talk to your physician, and they can connect you with psychologist, and you can have that one person. Woods Homes. Do you remember the one on my slide that I showed you? One on my slide, there is one East Side Mental Health.
I was late going in.
No, so it was a slide that I showed in the end. There is one that shows East Side Community Mental Health Services.
And I'm not in East Side.
No, you don't have to be in the East Side. You do not have to be. You can use that service online. It's ongoing.
Pauline?
Yes.
Pauline, perhaps what we can do is after the presentation, we can get you a copy of Padma's presentation, so you've got those resources, hard copy, and then
can we all get a copy?
Yeah, you all will get. Yeah, it will be sent to you. I
appreciate that.
Yeah, you all will get a copy of the slides. You will get a recording as well, and also you will get the link to the evaluation. Okay, all three will get together. Okay.
From what I understand, your doctor. From what I understand, a person's doctor has to be associated with the health link in order to get those free counseling or whatever that is. That is to my
Yes,
knowledge.
yeah, for free counseling, that you are right. That's right. But the east side one, you can actually go to them straight. You can go to them directly. It doesn't have to be through a physician.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think that's something
Thank
for
you.
something for future information here. Pauline, thanks for bringing that to our attention, that maybe we can look at opportunities for our seniors to be able to access that kind of thing. And I know that it's something that Kirby Center is working on quite diligently, is to provide more mental health services for our seniors. So we'll see if maybe we can get you some information here as we move forward. And so, Marilyn, some medical doctor practices have a counselor connected. Can that be ongoing? Is this
Exactly. That's what I've been telling. They can refer you to someone, and that's ongoing.
Mm-hmm. And when
you can go back to the same person, and you can tell them ahead of time that you want to be associated with just one person, not multiple people, so that you have to tell your story all over again. So keep that very clear. Make it very clear when you talk to your physician, and they can connect you to someone who is permanent. That person will be contacting you for support. Okay?
Absolutely. And Marilyn has also asked, she missed the beginning of the presentation. She was just curious about your background and what you do, what you have been doing.
Okay, yeah, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I'm basically a family physician and also a gerontology expert. So I've been, that's my training here. Gerontology is all about aging. So that's what I've studies that I've done in Canada. My medical training as a family physician is from India. I'm not a psychologist or a counselor. I am not a psychiatrist either. Okay, I hope this makes it clear.
And Jenny has suggested that this was a timely presentation for her because she has a friend who's concerned, and I think she's gained some information today. Is there anything you might be able to tell Jenny that she can do to help her friend?
Yeah, so first of all, I would say that, whatever you learned from today's session, please do feel free to share with your friend. Please, keep in touch with that person, stay connected to that person, make sure that she's doing okay, get her connected with the services that maybe she's not a member of Kirby, maybe, that's a good idea to be connected with a group, because you do have regular meetings like that, educational sessions, and that's a way of keeping yourself connected and doing something positive, and you would benefit from that interaction rather than being isolated. That's what I would suggest to your friend, that your friend would benefit from that, and share all the resources that I have provided you with today. Okay. And please do watch out for that person. And if I want to say again, if anyone in this group here today, anyone attending today knows of another person who has been recently bereaved, living alone, and they know it's something to keep that person in your thoughts and prayers, and also reach out to that person. Okay. And however bad you are feeling, however low you are feeling, I can assure you, if you when you talk to another person and help them, or share your feelings and help them cope with their feelings, that is the most effective, most powerful remedy for any depression that you are feeling for yourself. Okay, so please do look out for one another and support one another at this time.
I think that was one of the points that I had noted here while you were chatting, was that as low as we feel, there are other people out there that are in worse circumstances that need somebody just to reach out.
Yeah.
And
sometimes we tend to dwell so much on our things, and our problems can seem like mountains. But it's always said that if everyone were to bring their problems or to the table, and you will see that what you thought was your mountain of problems is now a little molehill compared to other people's problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's lots of ways that we can reach out, even though we have to be distanced and isolated. I've seen things where, where people living in a neighborhood have made an arrangement with a senior or an older adult living alone that they know is living alone, to put a colored sign in their window. I'm okay, or I'm not okay, I need help. and, or, just cook a meal and drop it off on the doorstep, or a tin of Christmas cookies or something.
Yeah,
There's things that we can do, even though
Yeah.
we do have to distance. So
absolutely.
lots of ideas
Absolutely,
here that
yeah.
people can,
Yeah.
and Cheryl has suggested as well, having a pet is a very good.
Oh
if
yeah,
you're alone.
absolutely.
Yes.
Dog to walk, a cat or bird or gerbil.
Yeah.
You could,
You naturally have to get out, for the cat, for the dog, you have to take the dog out. You meet people on the way, and this is all ways of keeping up with your mental health.
absolutely. And Irene,
because the way the roof is.
someone that's chatting on the phone, perhaps you can mute yourself if you don't mind. Irene, the presentation is very timely for what you're doing for us to stay connected with, and the resources. So awesome and great, understandable presentation. So thank you.
Yep.
Corinne has also suggested Meetup is a good way to find a group that shares your interests. Learn a new language, some art, business. And these days, all meetings are virtual. So it was another note that I made here is that for those of you that are tech savvy, like most of the people that are joining us, if you're on Facebook, you can go and search Facebook events. A lot of virtual events are listed on Facebook, and you can register that way. We've found that Eventbrite has been a great resource for us. You can go to Eventbrite and search for free events.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As well.
There are lots of educational sessions, lots of, talks by counselors, psychologists, doctors. There is variety of events provided.
And even creating your own group. If you're Zooming this way, and then you can encourage your friends to get a Zoom account, then you could simply have a group Zoom over coffee or a knitting group. We did one of our early presentations was an artist teaching us about adult coloring. So you can create your own social groups on Zoom. It's one of the things that I just had a chat with my sister about, because we're all spread so across Canada. Our mother's going to be alone Christmas. And so I said, can we arrange a family Zoom? Christmas Eve, maybe in the afternoon before everybody gets busy, that we can all have a little Christmas cheer and see each other's faces, because we won't get to do that.
And it does make a difference. It makes a huge difference, Colleen, being able to see your family and then chat, even though we are in different places, you still feel connected. It makes a huge difference. And one thing I just want to add to what Colleen said was that Zoom connection, you can get it free. So you don't have to spend anything. It's just 40 minutes free. You can, and if you want to go beyond 40 minutes, you can log in back again. So it allows you to have 1.5 hour session, free account. You don't have to pay anything at all. And it's such a huge, beneficial way to stay connected at this time.
Sure,
and do
absolutely.
things together.
And for those that are maybe a little intimidated, Kirby Center is working on a Tech Buddies opportunity to. We do have a PDF format to help people, walk them through, but looking at opportunities as we move into the new year here to be able to help those people that do have access to Wi-Fi and computer to become a little bit more social media savvy. So we hope that you'll keep an eye out for that. And that's what I gave my mother for her birthday. Was I have her computer tech coming in to go over her tablet, clean everything up, get her set up on Zoom so she can attend her church services and visit with the family. So, it's an idea for a gift for someone that might be too intimidated to do it themselves. And Jenny, again, appreciates the extra comments for her friend, and she'll continue to check up. Irene, again, the family Zooms over the season and out of her bubble to others in Calgary. Maureen agrees with the reaching out. She's long-standing phone date each week with 2 other female friends. So that's a great way to be able to stay connected. And Marilyn, another resource for those who are dealing with cancer and their family is Wellspring.
Yes.
So there's lots of resources out there that have people that you can talk to over various concerns. Gladia, I hope I said that right. Many practicing, and one more that works for me, put on some favorite music.
Yes.
Then move to the music, dance or sway, tap your fingers.
Yeah, it makes you really feel good, you know?
That's right.
Yeah, just putting on your favorite music and dancing, yeah.
And these days you can dance like no one's watching.
That's true, absolutely.
Put on the Christmas music, put on music, your festive outfit, pour an eggnog, make some cookies, dance around, and Val has also suggested you could try drumming. And YouTube, wonderful tutorials for beginners for Zoom. So absolutely, just take some time and take a look and see what you can learn on your own. And if you need help, reach out. Paint.
Colleen, I just wanted to add one point before I forget, and that is to know that you deserve. You know, you are special, and you deserve that. So it is your right to enjoy some Christmas cheer. It is your right. You deserve that. You are special. So do invest in yourself. That's the best investment.
Absolutely. And I think particularly for people of our generation, it's most important to keep those traditions going.
Yeah.
Even though you may have to be on your own for the holidays, or you may have to resort to Zoom connections. Keep those traditions going.
Yeah.
Make Grandma's Christmas cookie recipe. Put the family ornaments on the tree. Keep those traditions going that you would normally, and in another year we'll get to share them. And Roberto has also just suggested that a WhatsApp group can be created.
WhatsApp group, yes.
And another to learn a language, a good time to learn another language. And I like, now it's under iPhone, but I like the idea of learning Spanish, because hopefully when this is over, we can all go hit a beach somewhere in Mexico.
That's a good one.
And Janice has been taking second year Chinese. Good for you, Janice. I noticed.
Wow.
I noticed the symbols there next to your name, so I was curious about that.
Yeah.
Yes, for our Zoom class, we have to show our Chinese name as well. Our teacher always calls us by our Chinese name.
What is your Chinese name, Janice?
Shi, which is a lot like Shik. That's my family name, Shi. And then Jenny is like Janice, but it means precious lady.
Very apt. Very apt. And what is Duolingo?
Yeah, that's a website from where you can learn any language. Words.
Yes, and it's really great. It's sort of like a video game, but I have never played video games or computer games, but it's sort of addictive. It makes you want to keep going and get more points, go on to the next level. So to refresh my Chinese, because I used to live in China, to refresh my Chinese, I started Duolingo last April. And now and it keeps track of how many days in a row you do it without missing. So I am on like 217 days in a row. And that might mean only like 15 or 20 minutes a day, but you just keep going, and it's very well thought out from an educational point of view, because it keeps reviewing your old words and things like that. Now, one thing I would like to suggest, if you're interested in Duolingo, there's an app for it. Yeah, don't do that. Don't download the app, because people have a lot of issues and troubles with it, and it's just not as good. You just go on your computer or on your phone to duolingo.com. And I do it that way, and that way I don't have all these issues with the app. Okay.
Good advice. Thank you.
I'm trying to add in the chat a link of where you can look up a piano teacher that will teach online. But when I first put because I teach online, I'm a semi-retired piano teacher. I only have about 15 students. But when I put the first chat message on, it how do you say, auto-corrected. It auto-corrected, so it's wrong. It says Alta. and it's supposed to be APTA, APTA, that stands for Alberta Piano Teacher Association, aptaonline.net, but it keeps correcting it for me. Let me see.
God
What
bless,
if
got it
between-
correct.
Put
There.
it between quotation marks.
Now I got it. I got it.
You got it. Okay.
Yes, I see it.
So when I started teaching online in March, it was so hard and so terrible. I was thought, oh, how can I do this for 2 months? It's going to kill me. And now it's been 10 months and my students are doing great. You know, a lot of these kids in the summer, they didn't have anything else to do, or they won't even go to school. So they practiced a lot, but I do teach seniors also. I'm just not taking any new students right now. I'm quite busy because I'm going to take Chinese again in January.
Oh,
Yes.
bravo.
Wow.
Can
That's
I
good.
just- Can I just break off for a second here? Marilyn, are you still with us? Marilyn was having some difficulty during the presentation. She could not see the screen. She could hear, but she could not see the screen. I'm just wondering if Marilyn is still with us. And she wasn't able to access any of the buttons I was suggesting while we were chatting there. So if Marilyn is still with us, I'm sorry that happened. We'll make sure that you get, the access to the video. But it sounds like maybe she did leave us. That's unfortunate.
So
Go
can non-Kirby members have access to the recording of this session?
Oh, absolutely. It's wide open for anyone. If you just go to Kirby Center YouTube channel, and you'll see all the recordings that we've been doing over the year. We do some of them, try to mix it up a little bit here, because part of our objective is so that we have opportunities to chat like this and chat with each other and share. Some of the presentations that are a little bit more effective to be done by webinar. If you have over 100 people, you pretty much have to do it by webinar because meeting is limited. Or if it's the type of presentation that is more just presentation style, we do it as webinars. So you'll see both we record all of them and we put them up on our Kirby Center YouTube channel. And it's been quite effective for us because not everyone can be available at the same time. And some people will attend and think, oh, gee, my friend should know about this. And so then they can share the link.
Yeah, that's my feeling.
So typically what will happen is that after the presentation, once I have that link from our communications manager, then I will share the link and we'll share Padma's PDFs and SurveyMonkey. The surveys are valuable for us. So we appreciate your support in that. It's the best way for us to tell what's working and what people would like us to see in the future. So we'll make sure that we share all of that for you at the end. And Flory, thanks to everyone for all the inspiring and uplifting suggestions to help us through these uncertain times and very different holiday season. This year it is not the Grinch who stole Christmas, but the virus. And she's also best wishes to everybody in the holiday season. Thank you very much, Flory. Same to you as well. And iPhone, again, thanks for the excellent presentation. Merry Christmas to all and Happy Hanukkah, as Roberto reminded us earlier. I think that it's holiday season for our Jewish friends and family as well. So appreciate you reminding us of that, Robert. And Janice, get up, dress up, show up, and don't give up.
I agree.
Excellent.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wonderful advice. So I don't know, is anything else that they might like to share? I think I've kind of gone over some of the notes that I had wanted to bring forward here as well. Is there anything else? One of the things I did make mention here, Padma, is something that I need to seriously remember is learning to say no. That was great advice.
I was just going to share something that my family is doing, because much of my family is over, excuse me, Vancouver Island and the Lower Mainland. And we've, since the pandemic started, about every 3 weeks, we've been having a Zoom. There's about 8 or 9, including my 2 sisters and some cousins and stuff. And we're sharing a lot of things that we're doing. And during this Christmas season now, we decided that we would share what we were doing with decorating our house. So we're taking pictures as we decorate and emailing everybody in the group so that we can see what their trees look like and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, so
That's a great idea.
And that's kind of lifted our spirits a little bit. And we've been really talking a lot about you know, how we're feeling and how we're coping with what's going on, you know, with COVID and stuff like that. And it's good to hear that really from them that, you know, they feel the same way as you do, you know, so it's, yeah,
absolutely.
I think pretty much everybody that's joining us today probably feels the same way. And it's, you know, it's going to be a very different holiday season for most of us, you know, worrying about whether or not, you know, what's one thing to worry about a mother in Ontario and, you know, is she going to be on her own? Is she going to have turkey dinner? You know, is she going to sit around the tree in the morning by herself? You know, and am I going to get to be with my grandchildren? You know, they're like, we're all in that same boat, and the messages change daily. So, you know, but I think the big message that we all come away with is it's one Christmas and it's a few more months. And if we can just bear with it for a few more months, if everybody cooperates and we do what we need to do over the next few months, then hopefully sooner than later, we can see our way out of this and look forward to next Christmas, making up, you know, and having it even bigger and better next year. So I love your idea about sharing the Christmas decorations. In fact, I just had a conversation with my sister this morning, and her Christmas has changed significantly as well. So she's not going to have her children even home for Christmas, but she decided she was going to change some of her traditions on her Christmas tree this year. And while she kept some of the, you know, the old meaningful ornaments, changed it all up completely. And she was describing it to me. And I said, well, send me a picture. I'd like to see it. So that was a great idea that you have, Wendy, for people to share. I said, yeah, I've got my house done up, and I sit there and I look at it and I go, isn't that pretty? Too bad nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is why we thought we would share, you know, what we're doing. Even if you take a picture of the wreath on your door or whatever, and you're outside your house.
Absolutely. And I'd love to see those pictures as well. So everybody's got my email address, and I love to hear from people afterwards. As I said, you know, we try to do surveys regularly so that we know what you want and what we're planning into 2021 scheduling. And so I love to hear from you. So I'd love to see your decorations, Wendy. All right, and so we're going over just a little bit. Padma, once again, this was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the great information and your time. I know how busy you are this season trying to help so many people. Is anything else that they would like to offer before I go into what's coming up?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Here.
Oh, I see. So Wendy's showing. Oh, that's beautiful, Wendy. And,
okay.
And Maureen has, I love your hat, Maureen.
Thank you. I do something like Wendy's doing, only a little bit more. I usually have an open house between Christmas and New Year's. And of course, I can't have one this year. So I fully decorated my house all by myself, and I live alone. And what I'm doing is I belong to Instagram and Facebook. I'm posting a picture every day in December of one aspect of my decorating. And it's been really fun. I feel like I'm doing the decorating for somebody, and people that I'm in touch with have been really appreciating it. They're getting involved in my decorating almost.
Well, I was going to say, if you'd like to share your Instagram, then we can all join in.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Well, every little bit helps, I think, whatever, you know. And I find that as each day goes by, then I think of something different I can do this. Or try to, you know.
Absolutely. And then
make things feel a little bit better about Christmas, you know. I think the big thing for me is I've got 3 young great grandchildren, then I'm not going to be able to, you know, personally see them open their gifts and stuff like that. But
Yes.
I'm hoping that my granddaughter is going to, one of them anyway, is going to maybe Zoom us with her children opening.
For Christmas
I'm
morning.
going to ask her because she did that. We just in October, that's how we celebrated her daughter's 10th birthday. And then we did a drive-by for her. But, you know, it was fun just seeing her on Zoom and opening her gifts and thanking us all in person. And, you know, we managed to sort of get the gifts to the house. And then
I hope that,
the Zoom came later, you see, so we took them over in the cars and handed them out.
oh,
They handed us back a cupcake, birthday cupcake. So
Very
it was really good.
at least you got to be part of it.
It is. And so if we could see the kids opening their presents that way, that would be a really good idea.
Well, I think that there's going to be a lot of families with a computer on the floor by the Christmas tree this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think Janice was trying to show us something there, I think.
Oh, just some of my decorations.
Oh, the tree's beautiful.
I think the bottom line is we have to do this, follow the rules, because the thing is that we want to get rid of this virus, and that's the most important thing.
Yes. We appreciate the sentiment, you know, but the fact of it is if we just bite the bullet and do what we need to do for a few months, we'll get past this. So, and Maureen, if you wanted to, Maureen, okay, you've got Maureen McLeod on Instagram.
No, Maureen A. McLeod.
Oh, sorry. It's in the chat. Maureen A. McLeod. We'll have to check out your Instagram. All right. Anyone else, anything that they would like to share? All right. Well, I'm going to just do a quick.
Oh, I was just going to say, what is this virus teaching me?
What is it?
What are some of the lessons I can learn from this, all of this?
Good idea.
And I think a lot of people have shared in many ways. So thank you, each one of you.
I think, Flory, from my perspective, one of the things that I think we've all learned most from all of this is what's important and what's not important.
Yeah.
And what we can live with and what we can't live without.
That's
and
right.
a little more compassion. So I think in some regard,
kindness.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so thank you everyone for your lovely messages, holiday cheer, and your thanks. Oh, and Irene mentioned also here, driving through the Spruce Meadows Christmas lights. I understand it's just gorgeous, but give yourself lots of time.